If you've always dreamed of taking the Orient Express but can't because the legendary train line has stopped operating, Gardens by the Bay may just have the next best thing. The venue is hosting a pop-up attraction called Once Upon a Time on the Orient Express. The luxury train service provided a key link between the East and West from the late 1800s. Two of its original carriages, a 158-year-old locomotive, and more than 300 artifacts will be on display. Singapore is the first destination outside of France to showcase these items. Now, for more, we're joined by Guillaume du Sandergy. He's the Vice President of the Orient Express. Guillaume, thanks very much for joining us this evening. The Orient Express, obviously steeped in lots of history. Set the context for us. How did it help shape the modern world?
It's actually this train, the Orient Express, was called, the train of kings and the king of trains. So it was like the first transcontinental train, operating from Paris to Constantinople from 1883. And it was really known as the most luxurious train in the world, And the golden age of that train was in the 1920s, 1930s. And that called upon all the greatest artists of this Art Deco period. Among them, you have René Lalique, that was very well known. So, this train really welcomed all the, kings and queens, prince and princess, spies, politics. It was really the place, to be and the place to see people and be seen. So really kind of an extraordinary train running and operating between the two worlds, West and East, because Istanbul is really in the middle of the Asian and the European continent, So it was a true symbol.
And there were some remarkable items as well, we understand. There's trunks that were used in the early 1900s, a sleeping compartment, as well as a food menu from 1908. And what do they tell us about those times and the people who lived through them?
Yes, actually, which is kind of extraordinary with this exhibition is that we are showing today artifacts, meaning real objects that used to be on board the Orient Express. So when we say artifacts, the most beautiful ones, of course, are the cars of the actual Orient Express that we brought from France here. These are national treasures, So it has been kind of a big deal, as you can imagine, to bring them here in Singapore. But there is also many other artifacts, whether they are, pictures or menus, and it really gives to the visitors, what was to travel on board the Orient Express back in the 1920s and the 1930s, what it was. As you know, it's a bit like being kind of a political spy and being into that crazy train, looking at those menus with 10 different, dishes and with the most refined champagne. So I think with this exhibition, the visitors will really put themselves into the foot, of those great travelers of that time. And for that, the fact that we have the original artifacts really gives the value to this exhibition, which is very important.
Just very quickly, Guillaume, give us a sense of how you pulled this whole exhibition together. It must have been quite difficult during the pandemic.
You cannot imagine, the day we knew we had to send this national treasure from France to Singapore, France came back into a lockdown, So it was kind of, as you can imagine, super complicated to send all these artifacts and those national treasures here in Singapore. But I have to say, we've been very impressed by, all what have been put as a mean, to make those national treasures coming here. It is something crazy. And I used to say that we never, we could have done that if it was not here in Singapore, because here things, just turn into something extraordinary. And we are very pleased and very happy to start this traveling exhibition here in Singapore.
And thank you very much for sharing it with us as well here on Singapore Tonight. We've been speaking with Guillaume du Sandergy, Vice President of the Orient Express. Once Upon a Time and the Orient Express opens at Gardens by the Bay tomorrow. Yeah, something to look forward to for the weekend. In the meantime, that brings us to a close here on Singapore Tonight. Headlines anytime at CNA.Asia.
And you can also find us on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. Good night.